Hey, welcome back to the Think Bigger Real Estate Show. So excited to be here today about a topic that is, I think, so important to the industry, which is how do successful, loving, caring, thoughtful moms stay that way while still succeeding big in real estate. And I have with me today Stephanie Peck.
Yeah, hi.
Thank you so much for being here, Stephanie.
Thank you.
This is such a treat because, guys can sit around and pontificate and talk all day long about what we think the solution is for moms. But it really doesn't do it justice. What really needs to happen is for us to bring someone to the plate who's, for the past 10 years, is that right?
Yeah, 12 years actually.
12 years in real estate, has managed and grown a very successful real estate practice, and yet been a fantastic mom. And so I know that conversation kind of weighs heavy on a lot of moms. I was in Top Agent Mastermind. I kind of referenced this yesterday. And some producers, some of which sell over 100 homes a year. And the kind of constant feeling of like, am I doing enough at home? Am I doing enough for my clients? Like, is that a real feeling? You feel that?
Yeah, all the time. I'm always thinking, how am I going to be the best at everything? And also trying to remember that it's okay to not be the best at everything. Yeah. So that's always my balance.
It's been really interesting. I was raised in an entrepreneurial family. My mom was a very successful business owner, and I cannot think of something that she could have done better. In fact, because of what she did outside of the home, it inspired me to similarly want to, build business. And so I'm grateful for the fact that not all moms are built alike. Some are dedicated, like my wife, for example. She works one day a week as a nurse, and she thrives in that environment. Like my mom would have driven me and my siblings crazy had she been home.
Right. Yeah.
Like, she's just wired to be like very different. And so I don't know if you feel that way as well. Like some moms are better moms by also like having some participation and even large participation in the workforce.
Yeah, I definitely feel that way personally. I went back and forth a lot about whether I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom or a working mom or part-time, always trying to figure out where my place was in that. And I know for me, when my kids were younger and I was able to spend a lot of time at home with them, I'm so grateful for that time. And I love that I was able to do that. But now I personally am so much happier doing what I'm doing and still being able to be the mom that I wanted to be.
Now that's, some moms probably have that guilt, right? That feeling of like, I'm giving up kids. Let's talk a little bit about motherhood. For those that know me, some of you don't know me as well, others do know that at the core of who I am, I'm a family guy, and family is the most important thing to me. And so, and I honestly believe that there's no greater work than one will do than within the walls of their own home, right? Yeah. That's a quote that stuck with me ever since I was young. And I believe that a lot of realtor moms feel that same way too. That even though they build a great business, build a great empire, they realize that all shrinks in comparison to the work that they're doing in raising up the next generation. Talk to us a little bit about kind of your feelings about motherhood and home, just so that those in the audience might think like, well, she doesn't get me because she obviously family's kind of second tier to her. And I know that's not true, but talk to us a little bit about like your feelings towards motherhood and being a mom and all of that.
Yeah. So for me, I got into real estate because I wanted to do it for my family and because I wanted to be the mom that I wanted to be, knowing that I still wanted to be a working mom, but I didn't want to be a drop off at daycare 10-hour a day kind of a mom. That was just my personal choice, and that's how I wanted to have my family structured. So that's when I got started in real estate, was with that goal in mind. So for me, I'm always trying to think about why did I do this? Why did I decide to get into this business, and who am I serving because of it? So I focus on what I want to do for my family because of real estate, not the other way around.
Interesting. Yeah, we've talked before, and you've mentioned before about how important it is to have a clear why, right? Because I know that in real estate, you get into any training and it's like more, bigger, sell. Yeah. And unless you're reaching the highest small percentile in the industry, sometimes you feel like a loser, right? It's like, oh, I didn't make the top 10%, top 1%, I should strive for more. But what you mentioned is having a really clear why, to know like when enough is enough, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Talk to us about how you kind of came to that conclusion, because I'm sure that as talented as you are, you could have a bigger business if you chose to, but you probably choose at times to throttle it back, to say no to this, and this, so that you can still be the mom that you want to be.
Right. Yeah, that's it. That's exactly what I'm doing. And that's kind of that inner battle that I'm always fighting too, because I'm a driven person. I'm a think bigger kind of a person.
That's why she's here.
Yeah.
Fellow big thinker.
Yeah. So, I'm always thinking about what could I be doing next? What could I be doing more of? But always going back to that why. Why did I want to be here in the first place? It's because I wanted to be the kind of mom that was able to go on the field trips. I wanted to be the kind of mom that is dropping my kids off at school and picking them up from school as much as possible. So I schedule my time at 2:30 usually is cutoff time for a little while. And I spend time with my kids after school and then go back to it, once the husband gets home, and I head out for evening showings. So for me, I've always thought, who am I doing this for and why am I doing it? And that means that I'm not going to be that, big giant producer right now, and being okay with that, because I'm working for my family and I'm working to give them a better life and give them more than I ever thought would be possible.
Yeah. I think that, like you said, it's important to be able to say no and be confident by saying like, no, I don't want to go there yet. Maybe I don't want to build a big team, right? Yeah. Or maybe I do need some team members, right? Maybe yes. I do need some support, because as you and I both know, not all activities in real estate are paid the same, right? There's certain things that are high value to the customer, and there's other things that need to happen, but doesn't necessarily need to happen by you, right? Right. Have you found, kind of getting into the more tactical now, some tactical tips on things that you've decided like, okay, that needs to happen, but if I start doing that, it's either that or picking my kids up at school. So therefore I'm gonna hire or create a better system or tool for that. What are those things that you would say?
For me, the big game changer was getting a transaction coordinator and not spending that time behind the computer, so that my time is best spent in front of people and meeting people and in front of clients, showing houses, doing the things that I'm best at, because somebody else can be behind the computer and doing behind the scenes, getting the paperwork and stuff. So that was a game changer for me, because it also freed me up where I wasn't doing the after the kids go to bed and then spending an hour or two doing paperwork, creating flyers, disclosures, all of that stuff that someone else can do for me. So that helped in the practical sense a lot.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think you mentioned paperwork. I also heard you say flyers. Have you found that there's some tactical stuff when it comes to creating flyers and creating some of that basic marketing material that maybe you've got your fingerprint on so that the wording in the ad copy is right, but it's not necessarily you in the design program creating the flyer? Is that true?
Yeah, for me, I'm a little more hands-on than I need to be. Sometimes, I like it this way, I like it. But for me, I just created a lot of templates and spent the time up front to make all of those things plug and play. So that somebody else can come in and I say, I want, photo 47 and 56 on this marketing piece, and somebody else can just plug it right in. It's easier.
I'm taught that leverage comes in the form of people, systems, or tools. And it sounds like you're leveraging a good tool and a good system, a good template, so that it doesn't take you a lot of time to have to recreate that.
Yeah, exactly.
And obviously we're here inside one of your beautiful listings, Wildflower Lane in Oregon City, which happen to be some very good close friends of mine. And obviously the home's been, beautifully marketed and displayed. So that's not like it's falling on the wayside. It's happening. You've just found a system to be sure it happens well.
Right, exactly. And spending the time here, which is most important, being in front of my clients and being in the houses instead of spending my time behind the computer. Yeah,
that's great. Let's talk about, you branded yourself as the real life realtor. Perfect, right? For this topic today, because any of us who are parents and any of you that are moms realize that real life doesn't always look like the perfect Instagram life, right? Talk to us a little bit more about that brand, how you came to that and how that still fits today.
Right. I came up with the real life realtor. It just popped in my head one day because I really wanted to be giving the image and the impression out there that I'm just doing life. I'm a real life person, and most of my clients are appreciating that and they're relating to that. So I'm able to say with them, here's me doing the same things that you're doing. So I understand how you live in your home. I understand how life goes, and so then they're looking at me like, you're a relatable person. You're the kind of person that we want to be around instead of this figurehead type of person that we don't want to do business with.
I love that. There's some relatability, right? When people realize that, oh, you go home to a family as well.
Yeah.
Oh, when you're taking my call at 10 p.m., that means you might not be, having that good conversation with your husband or tucking your kids into bed, right?
Right.
I think it probably helps, I would imagine, with setting the expectation of like, I'm going to kill it for you during business hours.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I'm just like you, that there's a reason why I'm doing real estate. And it's because of my family, right?
Right. Yeah. And it's been pretty natural because for the most part, my business in the early stages of motherhood and business, a lot of my business came from moms groups, preschool.
Yeah.
So we were already on the same schedule and already doing the same thing. So I can be talking to my clients and saying, okay, we're both tucking our kids into bed between 7:30 and 8. So we know we're not going to bug each other during that time. Or they can send me a text. Are your kids in bed yet? I have a question for you. So that expectation is there, and it's helped me a lot because I've been always telling people, being the real life realtor and being a mom and doing life alongside you, I understand how you live. And I've been able to say things to people like, I don't know if this bedroom setup is going to work for you, because when you have that baby, you're not going to want to walk up and down these stairs every time the baby cries. And so that young first-time buyer says, oh, I didn't think about that. Or, I know what the schools are like. I know where all the parks are. I know where the moms groups are and things like that. So that it makes my clients think you understand our life more than just a home.
It's interesting. When I was a general contractor, I competed against a gal by the name of Sandy, and I can't remember her last name, but she was a female general contractor, which was, more rare than not. And she was some of my stiffest competition because she was very proficient at the building side.
Yeah.
But she had this ability to, I think, emotionally connect with her clients more so than we as men could do, right? I think that's an innate God-given gift that women are given. And for you, you're right. It's kind of what you've caused me to think about here a little bit, is that the value of a real estate agent is not just buying and selling a home, right? But it's being an advisor. It's helping people find the right home and community and schools. And who better to talk about that than one who has lived in a community, right? Has taken their kids to school and know what real life looks like inside of what their life is going to look like, right? I mean, that's a really powerful way to be an advisor, right? Is that I live it every day. I get it, right? I get it at a different level.
Right. Yeah. And I can say, when my clients are coming from school or sports activities, then I already know what their schedule is like. And I know what it's like to be running that kid to soccer practice at 5:30 and trying to get in dinner and all of that stuff. So when we're looking at a home, I can say, oh, this will be great for you because school is just 3 minutes away, or this will be great for you because it's easy to get in and out, or the kids are going to love playing ball in this backyard, and painting that picture of life in that home.
Yeah. I think back about some very dear friends of mine. When my family was moving to Junction City, Oregon, to Wilsonville, it was a challenging time for my family. My parents had moved up there because both of them had been on the road a lot building their own businesses. And they needed to protect the marriage and get them together more often. And so my mom went looking in school districts, trying to find one that was fairly similar. She came across the Wilsonville School District and loved it, fell in love with it. And the realtor that she ended up choosing, and I hope she's watching this, she's actually a big fan of the show, Donna Crace. She was our real estate agent, and her husband happened to also be the head coach on the football team, which I was a football player, and so this worked out really well. And she could give advice like nobody else could, right?
Yeah.
Like there was not anybody that could hold a candle to what she did. And I get that that's kind of a rare situation, but like the reality is she could give insight and connect my mom to people, meaning her husband and other staff members, that nobody else could.
Right.
And sometimes I think that's a missed side of real estate. It's definitely a side that major tech companies are missing when they proclaim that they can do what real estate agents do or do it for less, is that you're taking out the human element, which in my opinion is one of the most valuable components that real estate agents bring, is that their knowledge of the community and their connections within the community are not only going to help you find a house, but they're going to help you integrate into the community and have a really good life inside that home, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I've been able to so many times get people connected with other people, because they're buying into the school district where my kids are in, or just integrating everything that we do. My husband works in the city too. So being able to say, just the other day I closed on a house where I sold a home with a big shop. We love cars. We're car people. We're in the car shows and everything. So when they bought the home, like, oh, you love cars. So does this guy down the street. And they have kids that are the same age as all of our kids. Yeah. You guys should be friends, and just connecting them. So it's so much more of a service than just here's this house.
Well, there's a physical move, right? Like you actually have to pack up your boxes, move to a new house, but then there's this emotional move, right? Where you've got to actually move your friendships and your loyalties and your heart into this new community, which what a powerful way for moms to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of how you integrate your business with being a mom, right? Kind of very tactical, because obviously your kids always haven't been in school, right? There was a time when they were young and with you.
Yeah.
What did that look like? Long. To those moms that are out there that are saying, yeah, that's nice. You get to drop your kids off at school, but I don't. What advice would you give to them? Because you've been there.
Yeah. I'll admit that's tough. It's a tough time for me, because I was choosing to scale my business in a way that allowed me to be home with them. Nap times were crucial times. That was the times where I was able to make the phone calls and do some of that computer work, that at-home work. So I used that time really wisely. I used weekends really wisely. It was hard. My husband walks in the door and I walk out the door. That happened a lot of times for evening showings and weekend showings, but we always made it work. I made friends with some stay-at-home moms in the neighborhood, so that helped, just for those quick drop-offs. The in-home daycare person that lived down the street, grandmas, all of that, you've just got to utilize your resources. And I think for me now, being in a little bit of a later stage, my kids are in elementary school, so they're still very needy, but they're not all day long needy. For me now, looking back, I can just say that was a really important time, and it was a really short time. So for a mom, I know that I can say there's always going to be houses to sell. Yeah. And if you're not selling all of them in this 5-year chunk of time with your kids, it's okay. I had to tell myself that all the time, because then, kids got a little bit older, time freed up, and I was able to do more. And I'm still always looking for that next goal.
I love that. I think, the classic analogy of big rocks first is that, like, outline, be very specific and intentional about at what points of the day you want to be there for your kids, and work around that. And I don't think it's a bad thing to tell people is that I can't meet you at that point. At that time, I have an appointment.
Yes, all the time I say that.
Like, they don't even know it's not with another client. It's frankly none of their business. And I don't say that in a bad way, but the fact is you have other commitments. You're committed in other places, which frankly make you just as if not more valuable when you show up and meet with them face to face.
Right.
And so use that. And like, I can't at that time. I've got an ongoing, I've got a recurring commitment at that time. Like being very comfortable saying, no, right?
Yeah.
And I can during these hours, this is my availability. And I think oftentimes when real estate agents are position themselves as true professionals, we don't expect our doctor to be available every hour of every day, nor do we expect our attorney to be that way. In fact, we're a little concerned if they are. It's like, do you not have any other patients? You don't have any other commitments? There's a little bit of, I think, peace and comfort knowing that the professional that we want to use, we've got to wait for just a little bit, right? Yeah. Even if it's like till the next day. I think it's okay to not have to pick up your phone during dinner and respond within minutes. And I think that's a fallacy because people have access to you. It doesn't even mean on the other side that they expect you to respond that way. I get guilty of that. It's like, oh my goodness, they asked me something. I need to respond right away.
Right.
You're training them to say that, oh yeah, I'm an on-call doctor, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I don't know if you have any thoughts around that of like the day-to-day of like being able to like have barriers and boundaries. Cause I feel like that's one of the biggest infiltrators to people's peace because they're with their kids, but they're looking at their screen instead of their kids' face and they feel guilty for both, right?
Yes, exactly.
So
you're doing a half good job at both things.
Right.
And I'm guilty of it all the time. So I don't pretend to be perfect in that way because yes, there's I get that person that mentions me on Facebook, Stephanie Peck is a great realtor, you should use her. I feel like I need to respond right away, because if I don't, 20 other realtors are going to be behind me responding. So, you know, and my kids understand that too, where we had those conversations that there are times where I need you to be quiet for a few minutes so that I can respond to this message or get this thing done. And that, you know, they have to be just as flexible as I do. But yeah, I learned right away that your clients don't need to know what you're doing.
Everything, all the time.
Yeah. Right. And they totally respect the fact that you have other clients or other business or other things to do. So when I need to say, I'm actually not available at 4 o'clock, but I would love to be able to meet you at 5 o'clock. Okay, great. They don't question that. They don't say, oh, why? Because you're stuck with your kids and you're not doing a good enough job for me. Nobody's ever said that to me.
If they did, I would recommend saying bye-bye.
Exactly.
Awesome stuff. And I'll add this in that, again, having come out of a home with a very entrepreneurial mom, I felt like she was always there when it mattered.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, her biggest clients felt like she was always there when it mattered. And she had great staff and team and support and systems to where when it didn't need to be her, it wasn't her. But when she showed up, it was impactful. Right. And so, and I love also, just to kind of highlight what you said in case any missed it, that there will always be homes to sell. Like, don't feel like you need to give up your kid's childhood because you've got to get to some award this year. Like, be okay with the fact of, like, you know, maybe it's, I'm going to sell a home a month. I'm going to sell 2 homes a month, like whatever that looks like for you, or 1 a quarter, for heaven's sake. You know, I don't necessarily love kind of hobby realtors that don't do it enough to actually do their clients good service. I think that if you can, like, you owe it to your clients to be a higher producer so that you can always have their best interest in mind. However, don't choose the scale of your business based on some outside pressure, but more, like you said, like kind of back to your kind of deep why. Yeah,
I'm always thinking about what is my goal? Is my goal to be number 1 on the list? Maybe not. Is my goal to be a solid producer and feel really confident in the people that I am serving and still be able to be there at the times where it matters for my family? So that's always what I'm thinking of is, you know, who am I trying to serve here? Am I trying to serve my ego or am I trying to serve my family? And sometimes I have to do a gut check on that too. And always thinking about the bigger goal. For me, I've got a 5-year plan. I've got a 10-year plan. I've got a 20-year plan in my business, because I'm okay with it not all happening now. And I want it to happen someday though. So that's where, you know, I'm keeping that think bigger mentality. For me is saying, if I wanted to increase my sales by 10 or 20 a year, I'm going to sit down and say, what would it take to do that? What activities do I need to do for prospecting and advertising and getting myself out there? I'm going to list all of that out and look at what activities would be required to get myself to that next level. And then I'm going to ask myself, is that something that I'm willing to do now? Sometimes it's yes. Yeah, I can do that. I can integrate it into what I have going on. And sometimes it's not now. And I'm going to keep it on the list and save it for later, because my kids aren't going to be this age forever. And we'll still be selling real estate 20 years from now. And I can do it then. So I'm always setting those goals and always keeping that in mind, but I'm okay with saying now's not the right time.
Very powerful. In fact, you illustrated that very early on when you were supposed to receive the Rookie of the Year award. And where were you actually?
I was having a baby that day.
That probably wasn't a choice. That was more like forced. You couldn't be there, but
it
probably set a precedent of like.
It was that wake up moment. Like, okay, it's not all about me anymore, and it's not all about what's convenient for me. I've been calling my principal broker that morning and saying, hey, can you receive the award for me? Because I'm having a baby today.
You're receiving another trophy that's a little more valuable than the one you guys are going to hand me.
Yeah, exactly.
Great stuff. This has been so fun. I don't know if there's any questions that the audience has. I know we've posted through Masters in Real Estate. If you have a question, please let us know. I know that there were a few questions came out, like kind of the tactical, and I feel like we've covered a little bit of that. Is there anything else that we've missed, Stephanie, that you feel like has been a real game changer for you in the way that you structure your day any just tried and true like tactics and practices that have been really helpful for you, that would be helpful for a mom as a real kind of takeaway from today?
Yeah, I did get the question about, it was somebody that was about to have another baby, and she was saying, okay, I'm about to dive into this. How am I going to do it? I think I talked about that a little bit. We're just using the resources that you have and not being afraid to call the neighbor and say, hey, can you hold the baby for a couple of hours? I mean, most people are happy to do that. So we don't have to live in a world where we have to be so self-sufficient. It's that takes a village mentality. I mean, I think it does. So don't be afraid to use the resources that you have and find ways to make it work. Just don't let yourself get in your own way. I think that's when I learned, and I felt confident saying, okay, I can still do this. I can be this person, and I can show up at library time with my toddler and land a listing appointment. And I was able to do that pretty consistently. And I'm in the sporting events. I'm going to sponsor everyone that I can, and I'm going to get my name out, and I'm going to sell the house to my kid's Taekwondo instructor. And then they're going to refer me to 3 other people at the school. And I can integrate everything that my kids are already doing with obtaining business. And I was in the teddy bear parade last weekend, and that sounds fun. A small town community parade where you're going down Main Street and you're throwing out candy. And my kids loved it. So that's something that I was already going to go to the parade, might as well sponsor it, get my name on all the flyers, and drive through, throw candy out the window, and families love it. And half the people that I saw out on the streets are people that I already know through other avenues of family life. So
perfect fit.
Yeah. Right? So, just that practical time of use the time that you have in front of people and use it wisely, and put real estate as a part of it, because whatever you're doing, whether you're a mom or you're at the chamber or something, you're in front of people. That's all it takes is just be in front of people and be intentional about the conversations that you're having with them.
So by being a great mom, it's going to open up a lot of doors in other places, right? Everywhere you go with your kids, serving your kids, those same people either own real estate or they want to own real estate.
Yeah.
Right? That's reality. And I would say this is going to be a little bit of a soapbox, but I think a lot of people use it as a crutch, saying I can't because I'm a mom, yet they know every scene of what's happening in Game of Thrones. I'm going to, let's be honest here. Like what's really getting in the way? Is it the fact that like, I don't want to, or I really can't? And if it's because you're choosing looking at your child's face over looking at a customer's face, I applaud you.
Yeah.
But if it's because you're spending hours on Netflix and you're saying I can't because I'm a mom, I'm going to call you. I'm going to call you out, and I'm going to say you can be successful and have significance, right? And this doesn't mean that this is for everybody, but if inside of you feel like you are supposed to be doing real estate and you can serve people and bless families' lives by doing it, take a look at really what's taking up your time, right? And if it's parental activities, keep them. Don't change them. But if there's other fluff and stuff in there, right, then you might be able to replace some of that with serving additional clients or even getting into the real estate industry.
Yeah. And knowing that your kids are okay if you do that, like you're saying, you're taking time away from your kids and your family one way or another, whether it's being on Facebook all day or playing Candy Crush or whatever it is. Whatever it is that we've all been guilty of doing while we're ignoring our kids. I mean, let's face it, we all do it once
real life realtor, right?
Yeah. But you're taking time away from them regardless. So why not use that time for productive activity instead of time wasting activity?
More is caught than taught. I was taught that at an early age. And again, I'm not promoting anybody that is a great stay-at-home mom and believes that they should be there. Do that, stay there. But for those of you that have made the decision that I also belong in the workforce, then it becomes important, I think, for you to recognize that you can bring a lot of value, not just in contributing to the family from a monetary standpoint, but also teaching your kids hard work, focus, time blocking. So like some of these principles that we all learn and know and will bless their lives, like there's actually an opportunity for you to model some really important and valuable lessons that they'll take with them. Case in point, I've learned a lot from my entrepreneurial mom and my entrepreneurial stepmom, both. In fact, she was a real estate agent. And so I get how all consuming this industry can be, and how it behooves people to set boundaries.
Yeah.
And be able to really be great at both.
Yeah. And for Mother's Day, I thought this was just so fitting. The kids bring home the questions that their teachers ask them. And so I got that on Mother's Day, and knowing that this was coming up, I thought, how perfect. My daughter, she's 7, and she'll say occasionally, I want to be a real estate agent, or, I'm a mini real life realtor, things like that. But she filled out all of her questions, and it was, what's the thing that I love doing with my mom? I love when she plays with me. I love when she snuggles me, all of that. And I liked hearing that. I'm like, okay, good. I'm doing those things enough. You're seeing that. That's making an impact. But one of the questions was, what's something my mom is really good at? And she wrote, being a realtor. And I loved that both of my passions were reflected to her, and that she expressed that in school on her own, and that she's proud of me too. My kids are proud of me, and my kids want to be like me when they grow up. And I mean, that's what we're all striving for, right?
One of the comments that came up in this top agent mastermind from a really high producing agent, she said, very few children of real estate agents want to become real estate agents. And I think in part because it's tough to draw those boundaries, right? And they see mom and dad on the phone all the time. In fact, another top producing agent said, in 4th grade, my son came home and had a whole picture of the family, and mom was kind of behind everybody on the phone. And she's like, that was a real eye-opener for me. I'm like, how are they going to see me? And I've had a similar experience of, like, my kids made these little Play-Doh things, and dad was on the phone. I was like, okay, time to correct some things. So we're definitely not perfect at this, but we're definitely family first, and learning with all of you. So this has been probably quite possibly my favorite episode of all time. It's been a total blast. Hearing a real life mom talk about a topic that means so much to me, which is family, and not giving that up for also being great in the workforce. So I want to thank you, Stephanie, for this opportunity.
You. Yeah, I'm really grateful and honored to even be here with you, because I watch you every day, and I think, wow, those are some big hitters. And I take pieces from it, but I also am guilty of saying, I'm just not there, and I am okay with not being there. I'm not ready to be there yet. So for me to feel like I can be part of the club, it's awesome. And I just want to share that with everybody out there. I mean, anyone who's a mom that's thinking of getting into real estate, or been a realtor and now has become a mom, or just struggling with the same things that I'm struggling with, I'm just excited to share it with you guys.
Well, I think for me to not take the accomplishments of a mother and add them to whatever production, and not have that be considered a big thinker, would be a gross error on my part, right? To not say that the incredible work that mothers do is far more important than anybody that sells 1,000 homes or 500 homes a year, right? To me, it's the work that Stephanie's doing in the home, and many of you are doing is more important, have more of an impact on society and on your own happiness than I think anything else. So one last question before I forget, my signature question, which is this: what do you do, Stephanie, to intentionally think bigger?
For me, I'm always thinking of what's my next step, what's my next goal. And even if it's not today's goal, it could be my 3 years from now goal, or my 5 years from now goal. I have a list a mile long in my phone of great marketing ideas, great strategies that I want to implement. And some of them I'm ready to do right now, and some of them I need to table for later.
I like that.
And I'm okay with that. And I'm happy to be able to say, that's a great idea. I can't wait to do that when my kids are old enough to stay home by themselves, and they have an extra couple of hours, or, when they ride the bus home or something. But I'm always thinking of, how can I reach more people? How can I be having more intentional conversations? And that's how I keep the wheels going and keep that think bigger mindset.
I love it. So awesome. Again, thank you all for tuning in today. We've got a few viewers here. I just want to thank you for tuning in. Feel free to post any comments or questions you have afterwards, and probably a big thank you to Stephanie for allowing us to do this in one of her beautiful listings. If you guys could see the view out the back here, I should turn here just a little bit.
I know, darn Portland.
Yeah, here, look at this. Check out this view out the back here. Kind of see our lights. But anyway, absolutely gorgeous view. I had no idea this was here. This is actually some of my good friends. I'm at their home. And they probably invited me, and I just hadn't taken them up on the opportunity yet. So this has been really fun to see their beautiful home. Stephanie's actually been trying to tell me, like, hey, the home's for sale, Justin. And,
right. Yeah. You need a big house. Right?
I do have a big family. That part's true.
Yeah. You need a big house. Right?
I do have a big family. That part's true.
Yeah. I mean, even on a cloudy day, it's still beautiful looking out these windows
setting.
for sure.
Anyway, thank you again for tuning in, and please let Stephanie know how much you appreciate what she has contributed today by sharing this out, and look forward to connecting with you all again soon. And in the meantime,